All right. Hey, everybody. We've got the final qualifier for Metroid Dread any percent glitchless. This is basically just to help us order the tournament brackets, really. So tonight we've got on the left we've got Greggy. On the right, we've got Spear Time. Both of these runners, I think, have done a handful of quals already. So again, we're just taking the average of the runners' 2 best times during qualifiers, so they have a chance to improve their placement in the bracket. Get some interesting movement here. I've never seen somebody go up the left side of that room. Greggy just did there. Interesting. So both of our runners are going to go off to take on the Broken Emmy. Really something you would only see in either a glitchless category or in all bosses category. So this is just an introduction to parrying and the Omega Cannon that you'll be using against the enemies. Alright, so we've got this slow door here on the left. And so after this Emmy encounter, both our runners are going to be making it over to the first power-up in the game, which is Charge Beam. This is going to require a couple of trips through the white Emmy zone. So this is the first, or the second, I guess, of handful of Emmy robots that we'll be seeing throughout the run. This one is a little special. So this one's got a really big faceplate, which makes it really hard to climb through tunnels. That's not going to be the case going forward. So this guy gets stuck because he can't crawl through the tunnel, and so eventually Spear Time will be allowed to leave the room. The Emmy just gives up. So this is already a pretty big departure from a glitched run of this game. So typically you would do a little trick where you clip Samus's arm cannon into the wall and you can blow up a blob from the other side of the wall, and lets you kind of skip that encounter, and so you end up spawning the Emmy later. So these next couple of segments, you do have to kind of deal with the Emmy walking around. The Emmy can spawn in different locations every time you pass through a room. Typically, there are a couple of cases, I believe, where the Emmy spawn is like deterministic, like it'll be there every time. So right outside this Emmy zone is sort of this underwater section. There is a bit of an opportunity to show off, or I guess give a little bit of trivia here. The optimal movement through water in this game is to repeatedly jump over and over again. It is faster to jump through water than it is to walk in it. Both runners also, anytime you grab a ledge while underwater, you'll be jumping off of it in the opposite direction before jumping on top of the ledge, rather than doing like the whole ledge grab animation. Greggy getting a good Emmy spawn. This gives him time to do this water platform skip. So the goal is to do like a jump into a melee. Oh no, the Emmy sees him. He has to get this. Nope. Okay, so Greggy's gonna have to hit the switch. Spear Time, on the other hand, let's see if he can get it. It's really tricky, and I wasn't paying attention. Greggy got grabbed by the Emmy, unfortunately. This is a really rough start to today's runs, I guess, or this evening's runs. Dread is a very generous game compared to the other entries in the series. You get booted out right in front of a checkpoint if you die at all, so it's definitely like not the end of the world, but depending on where you die, you might end up Greggy getting grabbed twice. The parry windows on Emmys are very unpredictable. I believe it's a very small parry window, and there are a handful of different configurations that the Emmy can choose at random to decide when to attack. So let's hope we can make it out of here. I'm gonna pivot over to Spear Time's audio real quick. So with the charge beam here, Spear Time is going to be making it over to the thermal switch so that they can take on the Emmy's central unit. So every Emmy has what's called a central unit. It's like a brain-looking enemy that basically lets you unlock the Omega Cannon, which is the only weapon that the Emmys are weak to. So that's kind of the gameplay loop here. Is most of the levels here have an enemy zone. You find the central unit after collecting some power-ups, and then you take the power-up from the enemy. All right, so we're gonna do some spinning. There are a handful of ways to go off of ledges in this run or in this game. Typically, you never want to walk off of a ledge in this game. You either want to melee off the ledge, depending on where your intended destination is, or you might just slide right off of it. Depending on your fall, you might want to enter we'll see our runners spinning. If they're falling like a long distance, the spin animation is faster than the free fall. Spear Time has hit their first thermal switch. We'll be much more well acquainted with thermal switches in the next level. So thermal switches are used to open some doors, and later on, thermal switches will also not only open some paths, but close other ones, which drastically changes the pathing that you might have to take through some of these levels. Greggy not too far behind, hitting the first thermal switch. This is the beginning of the run. There are definitely plenty of game changers throughout the run. A lot of very precise tricks that are really hard to pull off, especially if you're under pressure from being either ahead or behind. So Spear Time has got the first central unit all taken care of. So interestingly, the approach to central units is going to... I don't think any two central unit encounters really are similar, because you tend to acquire some kind of upgrade that makes you approach these fights a little differently. So you've got a pretty basic moveset for this first central unit. It's just going to be lob missiles at it the whole time. But later on, you'll see the approach is going to be different. Also, you'll see Greggy on the left here when he finishes off with this central unit. He's going to melee towards the door, I think. Yep, and then start firing. So that positions you closer to the door to blow off the armored plating on the door. Spear Time, on the other hand, We've got the spider magnet. This lets us climb on bright blue walls. Both runners, I think, have opted to play it pretty safe with the Emmy here. This Emmy has proven itself to be a bit finicky today. So Spear Time and Greggy will be making it over to the first non-Emmy boss of the game. It's Corpius. So you've got this big scorpion-looking guy. You gotta fire missiles into his head over and over. But the twist is he turns invisible, kinda. So his head is gonna be bobbing up and down. But it's really hard to tell. You got to keep track of where the head's bobbing up and down. Trying to get as many shots in as possible. Spear Time is opting to start shooting the tail to advance to the next phase. Because once you run out of missiles, it's like it's time to move on. Took a handful of shots there after that counter. So if you manage to land, I believe it's 26 missile shots into Corpius's head, you can skip that third phase entirely. And so you can see on the rookie difficulty, we start with 30 missiles. I believe both of our runners ended up picking up an extra missile packet on the way over. Glitchless kind of lets you do that. There's a lot of missile packets just in the way. So Greggy is currently finishing up the fight with Corpius, and Spear Time is gonna make it out of Artaria to the next level. We're gonna see if we get a good damage boost here. Looking good. Nice. So Spear Time managing to damage boost onto the platform there. It gets to avoid the really slow spider magnet ride along the ceiling. So we'll see how Greggy's damage boost attempt goes, if he does go for it. Let's see what we got. It looks like he's using a slightly different setup. It's a little tricky. A lot of flying guys, just good backup though. Very nice backup. So if I recall correctly, I think we have a version difference between these two runners. So I believe Greggy runs on digital while Spear Time is on physical. Basically, depending on which version of the game you have is going to influence your loading times, with digital being faster. So we are adjusting for, I believe staff is working to adjust for the physical runners to make things a little more fair and balanced. But in terms of like this race setting, Greggy could catch up through load times alone if the gameplay is clean enough. This will hopefully be the last conversation with Adam the computer for the rest of the run. We're hoping. But we get there when we get there. Spear Time, unable to get the damage boost here. This one's a little more tricky. You need the enemy to knock you onto the spider magnet on the wall, which requires some pretty precise positioning. Lots of different setups. Not quite, but setup looked not half bad for the first part. Spear Time currently in the green Emmy zone, so this is the next, I guess, most powerful Emmy. I guess they're kind of scale. I think they kind of scale up in power according to the lore. So this one, and pretty much every subsequent Emmy going forward, is going to have a smaller faceplate, which means that they're going to start being able to follow you through tunnels, which makes this one a little more intimidating to deal with. We're going to be running through this guy's Emmy zone a handful of times, so a lot of possibilities for RNG. So, for example, Spear Time got the bad RNG on that Emmy encounter. Ideally, you would not want the Emmy to be blocking your way out of the room. Oh, the cloak door closed. This flying guy, really annoying, but not bad. We've hit this thermal switch here. Greggy also having to contend with bad RNG. Can he make it out, though? Correct. He can. Very nice. So that's a little bit of time save. Doesn't have to stand around cloaked in place for a little bit. Nice shot on the charge door. That is a slow... Not only is that a charge door, that is a slow door, which means it's going to take a couple seconds to open up. You've probably seen a couple of those. Slow charge doors with slow animations are always like really tricky to work with, because you almost always want to hit the door well before you need to go through it. Otherwise, you're just going to be standing there waiting for a little bit. Spear Time currently getting ready to do Atom Skip. This is a very precise setup, but it saves a boatload of time. That was a sort of, I would call that a first try and a half. I saw he kind of climbed up the magnet a little bit the first time. That's huge. Getting ADM that early is going to be very fruitful indeed. Let's see how Greggy does. Oh, really close. So this skip requires 4 buffered wall jumps in addition to a precise, if not frame perfect, melee and respin into the wall. It's a very, very precise, very difficult for new runners to get into. Hoping he can get up there. Atom Skip is near crucial to be able to do in a tournament setting like this. Basically, what this allows is the game is basically has a series of computer rooms that it expects you to visit these rooms in a particular order based on the layout of power-ups in the game. So this has allowed both of our runners to skip an Atom room in that sequence. So basically, for the rest of the run, the game is going to be waiting for the runners to enter that room, and they never will. Which means every other computer room will let them just run straight through it, no problem. If they didn't do this skip, they would have to talk to Atom every time, lose a lot of momentum, and this also cuts out a bit of roundabout walking through this level. Glitchless in particular has a lot more Atom conversations than, say, no major glitches or unrestricted. So it's even more important to be able to do this, especially with the skill level. That's almost sort of expected in a tournament setting like this. Like, I think everybody who participated in qualifiers went for ADM. So Spear Time is making it over to Dyron, the 3rd level. Brief visit through this level, not too much. We're just here to pick up the Wide Beam, which is the next power-up, and go back and grab the Morph Ball from Green Emmy. So I guess the whole gimmick with this level kind of is the we'll be entering sections of the level that have the power turned off. So basically, the doors will be stuck, either open or closed, and until the power is turned on. So this is one of two dark room sections, if you want to call it that. So there's the power generator thing. Greggy has entered Dyron. Not too far behind, and the faster loading times will be benefiting him. So Wide Beam is an aptly named power-up. It makes your beam wider. You basically shoot 3 beams that run parallel to each other, rather than the single pea-shooter beam, we like to call it. So this increases the amount of damage you do to enemies, as well as you can interact with more obstacles, I guess, in the game. So there are a couple of wide beam doors, as well as wide beam blocks that can only be moved or opened like that. Greggy also picking up the wide beam. Again, it's really hard to keep track of the gap between the two runners, as it's going to change depending on how many loading zones we go through. But I wouldn't say, there's still plenty of run left. I'm going to keep saying that. Lot of opportunities for both for Greggy to catch up, as well as for Spear Time to get stuck on, or the other way around. Like it could even magnify the lead more so than it already is. So there is one wide beam door that's blocking the green Emmy's central unit. We'll be seeing shortly. Small mistake on the wide beam block there, or it just might be the bad hitbox. I don't know. We love wide beam blocks in the Dread community. So Spear Time is doing a combination of quick charges using the spin animation, as well as I guess not missiles, but that's very, very close to what top level runners will do. They'll do a you can charge your beam faster in the middle of a spin animation. You can also do a little more finicky, but you can also do the turnaround animation. Here's the green Emmy. See how it goes. This guy's gonna be coming right up to Samus here. It looks like enough of the faceplate is off. Nice. Greggy instead opting to repeatedly fire missiles into the central unit, and then is going to switch things up by mashing wide beam after the shields are off. Again, we're going to melee into the door and take off the armored thing. So this game is sort of one sort of common complaint that came up in casual playthroughs of this game is, or at least for people that are familiar with the franchise, Dread is known for giving you the morph ball very late in the game relative to its predecessors. The morph ball is almost always like the first or maybe the second power up you end up picking up. In Prime 2, you never lose the morph ball at all. Spear Time opting to pick up the extra missile packet for Kraid. Foreshadowing is a literary device. We'll see. Missile routing is, you know, it's not like super elaborate or anything, but it's interesting to see, you know. There are a couple of, usually there are like packets of 10 missiles. There's like 3, maybe 4 that I can think of off the top of my head. And some runners will opt to get some missile packets and some of them won't, depending on how comfortable they are with their boss fights, as well as what kind of approaches they take to combat. Like depending on whether you use turbo or not, whether you're really invested in your mashing, will influence how many missiles you really want to have for some bosses. So both of our runners, after picking up the Morph Ball, are going to make a small detour back to Artaria to pick up the Varia suit. This is the sort of fireproof suit, or maybe not fireproof. You're still going to take damage from the spicy sauce, but you can walk through hot rooms without taking damage, which up to this point you were not able to do. So Spear Time's got the Varia Climb segment coming up. Everything is falling apart. Got to make it through here. It's Greggy managing to hit the charge door through the Morph Ball tunnel. Very, very nice. It's a very precise shot. So now at the Varia suit, I believe both of our runners, it looks like, have opted to pick up the 10-pack. They also have 2 extra missile tank pickups. One of them is like you're not gonna try and jump over it. There's a missile tank in a phantom cloak door in Artaria that you almost always slide into, unless you're running like 0%. But they must have picked up an extra one either on purpose or on accident. I don't really know. But 32 or 42 is kind of the number you would be expecting, I think. But again, very there's a bit of an art to missile routing. We'll see whether they pick up some of the other missile 10 packs throughout this run. This blob here, a little tricky, but able to get it. All right, so Kraid could be a game changer. This boss is a source of a little bit of RNG. We're hoping for the fingernail attack during phase 1, which unfortunately didn't happen for Spear Time. Spear Time getting the vomit attack, which is going to require him to do these charge shots up and to the right into Kraid's mouth. Very, very difficult. Requires some pretty precise aiming. Two instances of vomit in a row on phase 1. A little unlucky. We'll see if the law of averages kicks in. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Greggy also getting vomit at the beginning of phase 1. Still pretty even. Spear Time getting the early stairs, or like the platforms that shoot out of Kraid's stomach there. I'm gonna save him a little bit of time here. It's like both runners getting that. Very nice. So it seems like Kraid is treating them both pretty similarly. So it's going to be still a pretty even fight. Greggy's spending a little extra time and getting stuck in the counter animation. That is really unfortunate. Most boss fights will be runners will opt to avoid these cinematic counter cutscenes because your damage is reduced during them, I believe, by a factor of 2. Depending, both Corpius, you will not take the counter, as well as Kraid. Ideally, you would not take the game's offer on getting to do a cool cinematic scene like that. But it's still pretty close. Greggy could very much pull ahead here, depending on the loading time, but it's definitely, I think it's like roughly 8 to 10 seconds per loading screen, and there's a lot of those in this game. There's plenty more gameplay opportunities for the lead to change hands. So both of our runners here are going to be going for our first developer-intended sequence break. So this game is sort of well known for the developers testing your skill level, testing your knowledge of this game, and allowing you opportunities to get power-ups out of order like this. So both of our runners are going to be doing these coyote jumps. So this is named after Wile E. Coyote from the Looney Tunes cartoons. Basically, if you are sliding off a ledge into the air, you have a small window where you can jump while in midair. And so using 2 coyote jumps, you can make it over to this elevator and enter the grapple beam room from the back, essentially. Typically, you would visit this area of the level after picking up Speed Booster, which we'll see later. But grapple beam early is pretty huge. This allows for taking a couple of shortcuts later on, which I'll try my best to point out. I just realized Greggy is ahead thanks to that loading time. So we'll see how long he can maintain this lead. All right, so small detour to Artaria. This won't be our last time seeing this level, by the way. Still got one more power up, which I'll leave as a surprise for the folks at home that aren't as familiar. Stay tuned to find out what the missing power up in Artaria is, I guess. All right, so both runners are going to be making their way through the yellow Emmy zone once again, on their way to pick up the Morph Ball bombs. I've got to make it through the spicy sauce one more time. Nice coyote out of the morph tunnel there. I mentioned the benefits of Atom Skip earlier. This is going to allow both of our runners to just walk through that computer room with no problem. Greggy with the bad Emmy spawn. This is really risky, but he manages to get it. That was a very bold move. But it paid off. See Spear Time's Emmy spawn real quick. Also the same bad Emmy spawn. Gonna opt to cloak and walk away to fight another day. Yeah, this yellow Emmy is not playing nice. He really needs to get out of the way here. I don't know if I really properly introduced the yellow Emmy. So the yellow Emmy has the speed booster ability, which means it can run faster than all the Emmys. It can also run faster than you. Definitely scary in a casual setting, more annoying in a speedrun setting than anything else, in my opinion. So, Morph Ball bombs, pretty straightforward. You get to drop these little bombs to blow up bomb blocks. You can also use them to do bomb jumps, which will let you, you can do infinite bomb jumps to gain height in air. There are some other applications, some of which are banned in glitchless. We will not be seeing water bomb jumps. At least, hopefully not. Hopefully our runners remember in the 8th qualifier that water bomb jumps are banned. Greggy's gonna take an attempt at golfing. This is the famous golf room. The goal is to morph into the tunnel at the bottom of that room without it entering the water. You get 2 shots at this. As long as you get it once, you're a golfer. If you get it 2 times, you are a PGA expert. Don't quote me on that, but that's what they tell me. Spear Time, on the other hand, gonna see if they give their golfing an attempt. Very nice. Very slick Morph Ball entry. Alright. So coming up next, this is Barenia, the water level. Seasoned Metroid veterans will probably have a guess at what's in the water level. But until then, we're going to have to do some of that optimal water movement, as we'll have our movement hindered until we get the gravity suit. So again, a lot of repeated jumping in water, a lot of jumping away from ledges to climb over them instead of doing a really slow ledge grab. We've got Grapple Beam. Grapple Beam is pretty huge for this section of the run. It cuts out around like 30 seconds of extra movement through the water. So I didn't really point it out while Greggy was going through here. But you'll see Spear Time is going to be able to grab this grapple block right here. This cuts out a lot of underwater movement that would otherwise take a lot of extra time to get around. This is where early grapple like really comes in handy. So Greggy is up to take the long way around into Flash Shift. So this is the Metroidvania special, the dash attack. This is, I think, the first Metroid game that actually had an ability like this off the top of my head. Gets to get to 3 dashes with this meter, or the meter allows for 3 dashes. Spear Time opting to take the long way around too. No, both runners opting to do a BDF skip, skipping backdoor flash. Backdoor flash doesn't really save a lot of time in an early grapple route, so depending on how flustered you're feeling or how confident you're feeling with backdoor flash, you may opt to not do it at all. Who can blame you? So the rule of thumb with flash shift is if you're gonna want to flash shift as many places as you can. It's fast. It lets you get from point A to point B a lot faster than just walking. But the big thing is, if you're doing a lot of flash shifts in a row, you're almost always going to want to flash shift in the air, because that's going to let you cover a lot more ground than if you did your flash shift on the ground. So, Spear Time making their way out of Berenia. Got to blow up the blobs, drain the water, so that they can take the what is that? Floating platform out of here. Greggy, on the other hand, off to take on the yellow Emmy. About to grab the speed booster. Pretty important in a speed run. All right. Like I said before, I think no two central unit encounters are the same. So now that we have flash shift, Greggy's going to, instead of melee towards the door, he's going to blow off the door from there and flash shift out of the room, which is a little bit more optimal. And that's going to be the approach to leaving the central unit rooms going forward. Great yellow Emmy kill. Nice and clean. So I could go on and on about the things you can do with Speed Booster in this game. Glitchless is an excellent place to show off what you can do with Speed Booster. Which we will hopefully be seeing in a little bit. So Speed Booster, for those who don't know, it lets you run fast. Runners are going to click the left analog stick to start a Speed Booster and then start running, charging it up. So this allows them to run faster. You're also, which we're going to see in just a little bit, you can store a Speed Boost into what's called a Shine Spark, and you can redirect it. Or save it for later. So there's a lot of very intricate intricacies to using Speed Booster when it comes to holding on to your Speed Booster throughout really long sections like this. We have very elaborate what are called speed keeps, where you're trying to hold on to Speed Booster through several rooms with wall jumps and morph tunnels. You can do some really cool stuff with this ability. Speed Booster also does damage to enemies, so we'll get to see the Speed Booster in combat against a couple of bosses throughout the run too. Spear Time doing a great job releasing that Shine Spark there into the stairs, lets him continue running. Both runners, you might notice, have opted to morph before going up that column. That's because if you morph, or if you Shine Spark while standing, the game will do a little cinematic, which is slower. Both runners are going to fight the Quiet Robe Chozo Warrior. A lot of possible attacks coming out of this guy. Basically, what we're going to try to do is get 2 chunky speed boost hits. There's one. You gotta bait him in place so that you have enough room to charge up a speed booster in this room. And there's 2. Not bad, not bad. That's really all we're here for in Ferenia. Greggy trying to find the way out. There we go. See how the speed booster section goes? Very nice wall jumps up the column there. Wall jumps while speed boosting can be a little tricky, depending on how well you know your speed booster knowledge. So why did we go all the way up here? So basically, Quiet Robe, he's a Chozo friend in this game. He has opened up an extra path in Berenia for our runners to take over to super missiles. Spear Time, on the other hand, fighting the Quiet Robe Chozo. Here we go. Missing the speed boost. Oh, gotta playing it safe. There's one. Gonna let him jump up again. And gotta let him get down there. Yep, there we go, two. Not bad. Greggy's coming up on the golf room again, I think. See if he can has the chance to redeem this run. Very nice. Very nice golfing. Getting the extra Spear Time, getting an extra missile pack, which I believe is for the next boss. Interesting maneuver. Always good to have extra missiles. You never want to run out of missiles until you get like Plasma Beam, because most enemies until you get Plasma Beam are impervious to your beam weapon. That won't do anything. So these next couple bosses, you want to have a good amount of missiles. All right. So we've returned to Berenia. Really nice speed keep into the morph tunnel from Greggy. Very nice. So this is any percent glitchless, which means we're going to do a slight detour compared to the glitched speedruns of this game. We're going to be facing off against Drog, the octopus monster. We're going to see how our runners take on this boss. This is a boss I'm honestly not that familiar with. I was mostly an NMG runner going into this tournament, so picking up glitchless, I had to actually. It's a really good. See if you can hold on to the speed boost. That was a really good movement through this room. Held on to the speed boost coming out of the tunnel, and managed to get to the top of the room. Real good. All right. So we're going to start spamming missiles at this tendril going into the ceiling. Fire 2 charge shots on the switches on both sides of the room, and then we're going to start spamming this guy with missiles. So Greggy's going for the one cycle strat. Basically, he's going to be repeatedly meleeing into the boss to cancel this counter animation. If you didn't do that, you would be doing this in 2 attempts. Basically. Now we got to get out. These 2 Steves are blocking the way out, but not a problem for Greggy from the looks of it. Those guys can be really annoying if you're trying to get out of the room. All right. So I believe both runners. Oh, storing a speed boost, but are you going to make it up there in time? Nope. These 2 laser guys are a little annoying. That second guy, I don't think I've ever managed to get past him. Greggy has made it to Gavarin, the nature level. Gotta love nature. This is where we're gonna pick. This is a pretty big area. A lot of power-ups. We got the blue Emmy, a very difficult to contend with. Greggy taking on the gold robot Chozo, while Spear Time taking on Drog. You'll notice Greggy started a speed boost going into the room. The room isn't large enough actually to store a speed boost in, so you got to have one coming in if you want to shine spark. Spear Time also doing the one cycle strat, just kind of repeatedly meleeing in. Is this going to be enough? No, he missed the counter. Got some spinning in anguish at that, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to start throwing some more missiles up here. Should be able to get him in 2 counters though. All right, super missiles. What is there to say? So, Metroid Dread, a little different from some of its predecessors. Super missiles are a direct upgrade to your missiles. You don't have them as a separate resource, like in, for example, Super Metroid. You basically do more damage with your missiles and can open the green missile doors at the cost of you now fire your missiles a little bit slower. So they try to balance things out, I guess. So after super missiles, we're going to be making a short pit stop to Elun, the second smallest, if not the smallest area in the game. Final area in the game is arguably smaller than this. So Elun has the plasma beam, I think I mentioned earlier. The plasma beam is going to let you do damage to any enemy using your beam weapon. Spear Time doing a really slick speed boost up the ramp there. I really like that. Gonna be getting some extra health before going into the gold robot Chozo. He's got like a little over 2 tanks of health. Shouldn't be a problem. Won't be able to damage boost off of nearly as much. It's all gonna be a little scary. This is gonna be close. There we go. Nice. I think both of our runners are going off of 3 E-tanks. We've been keeping track. Extra health is always nice to have, especially when late game enemies, even on rookie mode, the easiest difficulty, tend to hit like a truck if they hit you. All right, so Greggy is going to be facing off against the first Chozo Elite. This is Chozo Warrior. Chozo Elite's the gold one. So these Chozo Warriors are actually imposters. They are infected by the X parasites from Metroid Fusion. In case you missed out on the lore from the opening cutscene that both of our runners have skipped, the X are back and better than ever. So basically, after Elun, pretty much every enemy in the area is going to be an X parasite in disguise. So the mechanics have sort of done a total, not a 180, but basically now you can, if you kill an enemy, it'll spawn an X parasite, and you can absorb that X parasite to restore health, or ammo, or power bombs. Basically, kind of changes how you play the game. So it's going to be a lot like Metroid Fusion in a sense. So Greggy and Spear Time kind of doing a little bit of a high five here, with one of them leaving and the other entering Elun here. All right, so we've got one of the biggest tricks coming up in any percent glitchless with Greggy here. Gonna be doing a little speed keeping here to try to get in a little faster. Looking pretty good. That blue Emmy was like in the way. That was really cool. Nice diagonal spark. So this is going to be an attempt at glitchless early ice. So in a no major glitches or unrestricted run that collects ice missiles, you will do a water bomb jump to get past the check for spin boost. But water bomb jumping is banned in glitchless. So both of our runners, I believe, go for glitchless early ice. They're gonna have to do a very precise speed keep through this morph tunnel, store a shine spark out of this room, and make it across this gap here. I think that was a second try GEI from Greggy, very good. Hasn't opted to do the super variant yet, but we'll see if he ends up... Oh no, the blue Emmy! The blue Emmy can jump scare you in front of the central unit room. I feel like I haven't really given the Emmys a proper introduction, have I? Basically, so the blue Emmy is the ice missile Emmy. It can't see you, but it can hear you, and it's pretty good at hearing you, I think. I don't know if its hearing is better than other Emmys, like, objectively. Basically, its vision cone thing can freeze you in place, and that allows it to just run right up to you and ruin your day. So this Emmy is I believe, in the wrong place. The game doesn't expect you to start firing at the Emmy's faceplate from over there. So with both this and the next Emmy, it's going to take a little bit longer for our runners to shoot the faceplate off. But there's ice missiles. Basically, pretty straightforward. Ice missiles can freeze things. They do a little more damage than super missiles. It's pretty marginal, though. And ice missiles are one of, I think, 2 things that you can use to defeat these flaming Enki creatures here. So that's basically the game's check for ice missiles. Nice, interesting speed keep. Hoping to have it in tunnel, I guess. Nice. That's some cool speed booster tech. Spear Time is making it over to GEI, but not after not before a brief run-in with the blue Emmy. Hopefully we get some RNG. Greggy getting spin boost. Did he miss something? Spear Time having a rough run-in with the blue Emmy, managing to make it out by the slimmest of margins. I didn't see what happened. I literally like looked over out of from my peripheral vision. I saw spin boost. I might have to ask about that if we do interviews after. I wasn't sure. Well, we'll see. It might be like a routing thing, or not. I don't know. Like I thought the whole thing with GI is GI still saves time, but it is mostly to skip spin boost. So while Spear Time takes a crack at GEI, Greggy is going to pick up Gravity Suit from the blue Emmy was in an awful place for Spear Time. That was really clutch. Getting to get blue Emmy was not doing him favors. Unfortunately, the speed booster blocks underneath the floor didn't break, so Greggy's going to do a second speed boost here. Alright, Gavern Central Unit. Now that we have speed boost, basically we're going to open by charging a speed booster, going into the room, and taking off the shield using that. Again, no 2 Central Unit encounters are the same. So Greggy, both runners are going to be doing a backdoor route into Gravity Suit. This is a little different from, say, a casual encounter. You got to do a very tough speed booster puzzle, which no match for our runners, who have demonstrated themselves to be paragons of glitchless early ice. All right. There is a slight route split coming up. We'll see what the routing looks like after we just see where Spear Time ends up going. I think there is almost like a consensus on the optimal route here, and it looks like both runners are going to be going for the Frozen Artaria route. So Artaria, the first level in the game, has frozen over. What happened? Guess we'll find out. But basically, this is one of two possible glitchless routes. The other being the early screw attack route. Basically requires a little bit of extra roundabout routing, where you'll go out of the way, grab space jump first, and do a glitchless early screw attack strat, which skips Frozen Artaria altogether, but with a little bit of science in the lab from the community. I believe the consensus was reached that Frozen Artaria is just a little bit faster because the routing is a little less roundabout, works out a little more nicely. So Frozen Artaria, another place to show off some speed keep technology. Greggy is holding on to that speed keep all the way up to this set of missile blocks, which is pretty good. Gonna do another speed keep here. Goal is to store a Shine Spark so that you can go up here. Yeah, so that's the blob I mentioned. I think I mentioned way at the beginning of this run. There's a blob that you break in no major glitches by clipping Samus's arm cannon into the wall. And 1 hour later, our runners are going to be getting rid of that blob in any percent glitchless. Oh, getting caught on the ramp. Good backup, though. Spear Time grabbing Gravity Suit. Now both of our runners can, one, most importantly, walk through water as if they weren't in water. No more hopping around, trying to go places. You can use the flash shift. You can use the speed booster. Underwater movement, no longer a problem. The second, smaller thing you can do with Gravity Suit is you no longer take damage from cold rooms, as well as the spicy sauce. You can now just take a swim in that and you'll be fine. All right. So Greggy is on the way to Experiment Z57, big RNG boss. Contrary to the attack we want from Kraid, we actually want the vomit attack from Z57 and not the claws attack. A total 180. So Z57 opening up with the vomit attack, not bad. I want to kind of hold on to this, and hopefully we can advance to the next phase. Spear Time is going to be duking it out with the red Chozo Warrior. Hopefully this speed boost kind of carries over. And it does. Alright. So Greggy in the, this is the wind attack. So basically, Greggy's going to try and store a speed boost somewhere during this attack. There's a window for him to do it. Oh, that's kind of a cool approach. I've never seen him do it like that. That's probably why I picked up spin boost. So there you go. You can basically end the Z57 fight by storing a speed boost during that phase of the attack and then releasing it in his face when he pokes his head out from out of the background. But very good Z57 from the looks of things. Oh, the spin boost also lets you jump out of there. This is some pretty clever spin boost usage. You know what? I was a doubter. That's on me. That looked like a very intentional collection of spin boost, and Greggy has put it to good use. I will say. Spare time barely running out of that speed boost to get up this portion of the room, unfortunately. So basically, briefly jumping into the lore, otherwise, you know, this game sequencing doesn't make... Just to clarify what's going on here, for those of you who are not familiar with the lore. Basically, Z57 has, like, clogged up the thermal power in Cataris, and that starts just freezing over Z57. You're basically kind of limited to being going between only like Artaria, Cataris, and like one room in Berenia, I think. But you can, if you like do like sequence breaking or like going clipping through walls in ways the game won't want you to. You'll see that some Emmy Zone doors and stuff are like frozen in the other areas too. All right, let's see. So Spear Time, I believe, is on the way to Experiment. Greggy is on the way to Cross Bombs. So fastest way to Cross Bombs is we're going to cut through Berenia again, take the green teleporter the way we came in. But we got to do this. Got to go up this column here, which requires a screw attack and speed booster, and a combination of bombs, space jump, which neither of our runners have, spin boost, another great usage of spin boost. Spear Time getting the vomit attack from Experiment Z57. So both runners getting a bad grade, but pretty good Z57 from the looks of it. Oh, he's going to switch to Claws. I spoke too soon. No. Claws are really unfortunate because Z57's head is stuck in the background and you can't shoot rockets at him while his head is in the background. Unfortunately, a lot of Claws. I don't know if it's like just like slow mashing, maybe. I don't know if Spear Time uses turbo or not, but could just be like slow mashing, not able to get enough rockets in to advance to this phase. Missed the claw there, but that should be fine as long as this speed boost goes swimmingly. Very nice. Both runners succeeding in defeating the monstrosity, slaying the dragon, if you will, metaphorically. Ah, okay. All right. Greggy is on his way to take on Golzuna. the bane of many runners. So basically, got a big long room to store speed boosts in, but the goal is to... Oh, okay. We're doing this a little different than I thought. Should be able to just... There we go. Very nice. So basically, the optimal Golzuna fight is to store 3 speed boosts, 1 for the medium guy, 1 for the big, or 2 for the big guy. Pretty good. I think honestly, it's one thing I really like is there's more than one solution to a lot of these bosses, and that doesn't really lose you that much time. Like, I got thrown off by that Golzuna approach, but that's because I've never seen somebody do it like that. But it was totally valid. Golzuna rewards you, or I don't really know how much of a reward cross bombs really are. They only work half the time, and you have to ask really nicely for them to work. That's kind of the trick. Basically, the explosion pattern of the cross bombs is aptly named cross. Basically, it lets you launch the morph ball horizontally through tunnels. So basically, the way the game usually checks for cross bombs is by putting several bomb blocks in a row, or you have to use the cross bomb to launch the morph ball across a line of like 4 or 5 crumble blocks. We've nearly completed Samus's arsenal. Basically, all that's left after cross bombs is 3 more power-ups in Ferenia and the power bombs, and we've got everything we need to take on the final boss. Our runners here opting to take the long way around this room in Canubia. The other way around, you can grab this grapple block from the other side in what's called a DT, or double turnaround pseudo. Pseudos are banned, so that's why they have to take the long way around here. So a small shortcut through Canubia. Don't you worry though, we'll be here again pretty soon. Spear time, getting ready to have a 2v1 showdown with the gold Chozo robots. Handful of different approaches you can take to these guys. If you're a turbo user, or if you really like mashing, you can just spam plasma beam with the 2 of them, like in a straight line, like one behind the other. Spear time opting to just spam screw attack on them. Screw attack does a lot of damage to enemies, as well as bosses. So always an option. All right, so Spear Time is going to be making it over to Golzuna while we wait for the elevator ride. Greggy is going to be passing through the purple Emmy's lair, if you will. So the purple Emmy has the wave beam power-up. And how does that translate into its moveset? Basically, it can see through walls. That vision cone can see everywhere. It can also fire a projectile if it sees you, and that projectile can travel through walls. Very menacing, especially if you try to pass through this area without a gravity suit. Purple Emmy can be a monster. So both our runners are actually facing off against 2 different X-Parasite bosses. Spear Time going up against Golzuna, and Greggy is going up against Eskew, losing the speed boost, unfortunately. Gonna have to do a couple extra screw attacks on this guy. It's gonna be just a bunch of, pogo bouncing. Spear Time missing a speed boost as well. Gotta wait for the medium guy to launch his attack. There we go. Greggy grabbing the storm missiles. So we're gonna keep it, take it a little easy with Golzuna here. Just knock him back with the speed boost. Still does a pretty decent amount of damage. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to just spam ice missiles in his behind for the rest of the fight. Crossbomb Golzuna does a lot of damage, by the way. I don't know if you see, but if you get caught in one of those explosions, you're taking a lot of damage. So, storm missiles, they're just like the seeker missiles from Metroid Prime 2. You hold the missile button, and a bunch of reticles will appear on enemies, or these little receptacles on the wall here, and that's how you open storm missile doors. There's going to be a couple checks for those in Ferenia. A lot of these late game power-ups are mostly used to wall off like items. So there'll be puzzles that require to use like speed booster or space jump or storm missiles. Really encourage you to kind of go back to earlier areas with your newfound weaponry. I may not have been paying attention, but during the part of the run, but I'm pretty sure Greggy has not picked up space jump. He doesn't need it. Spin boost pretty much will keep you covered for the remainder of the run. I think it's just going to be a little bit harder. Basically, space jump. You'll see Spear Time's definitely going to get space jump. He didn't get spin boost. But basically, Space Jump is an upgrade to Spin Boost that lets you jump infinitely many times in the air, rather than only twice. But if you're good at your platforming, you really only have to pick up one of the two. Right? If you're good at platforming, you probably only need the Spin Boost. Spear Time in a bit of a shaky situation. I can't see his health from here, but it's blinking red, which that can't be good. We're hoping for a health drop from some of these X-Parasites. Very nice. Greggy taking on the Wave Beam Emmy. Getting grabbed. Can he parry? Yes. It's not over yet. Gonna break through some more obstacles in the Emmy room. Emmy is hot on his tail, by the way. This is a little nerve-wracking. Shutting the flash shift shutter, that's cool. It opens just in time. Alright, opting to do this the sort of intended way. I believe this is where the devs wanted you to break off the Wave Emmy's faceplate. Not a problem, though. Good backup. Was a little scary. Good content, I guess. Spear Time, currently in Ferenia, gonna be got a running grocery list of power-ups to grab while here. Storm Missile, Space Jump, Wave Beam. Getting a questionable spawn on the purple Emmy. This guy getting caught again. The door won't be open. Will he be allowed to leave? It's yes. Okay, that was really that could have been bad. All right, so Greggy is currently en route to pick up power bombs from one more Emmy. It's going to be a little different from the others. You'll see in a little bit. Anubia's Emmy does not play by the rules. Let's see how Spear Time's SQ goes.
Keeping the speed boost, pretty good. Space, got speed boost, gonna start just pogo bouncing on this guy.
Storm missiles absolutely eat into this red Chozo warrior's health, by the way. Nice, very nice to have. So basically, as you can see, Samus has awakened her inner Metroid powers. Skip the cutscene where you just grab, I think, the orange Emmy's like needle and just like destroy it like that. Like, pretty cool cutscene. Definitely consider, honestly, playing the game to watch the cutscene if you don't want to. If you're down to get the game. So the last major power up is the power bomb. Pretty straightforward. You drop a bomb, it's got a massive explosion. It can destroy several different kinds of blocks, specifically power bomb blocks and other kinds of rubble. You only start out with 2, so you gotta be careful. A lot of really bright flashing lights. I don't know if we wanted to add that as a disclaimer. If you've got sensitivity to that kind of stuff, you might want to avert your eyes for a little bit. Spear time, grabbing space jump, basically gonna open this storm missile door. Looks like he isn't doing the speed boost strat. So I think the goal is gonna be flash shift out of this door as fast as you can. Nice. That was a little shaky, but managed to make it out, no problem. That door is programmed to immediately shut behind you, so that you do a little bit of extra space jump stuff. Greggy finishing off against the gold Chozo Elite. This guy does like 2 entire health bars of damage, I think, if he hits you. So again, space jump, you're going to see spear time is going to be effortlessly leaping through this section of the level. All right. Greggy's going to make it to Itarash, the final level. Going to be taking on Dad, Ravenbeak. Ravenbeak's a pretty elaborate fight. A lot of explaining to do. I'm gonna try to split my attention though. I feel like I've kind of tried my best to kind of evenly explain what's going on both sides of the field, but it's gonna be kind of interesting movement in Itarash here. Opting to speed boost up to this elevator after dropping a power bomb, very interesting. Spear time, taking a little bit of a safer approach with the purple Emmy. Gonna be trying to be breaking off the faceplate through this tunnel here. All right, so Ravenbeak, 3-phase fight. Step 1, we got to get rid of this shield. So a couple different ways you can go about it. It looks like, I believe neither of our runners use turbo, so they're probably going to do a sort of like 1.5 phase thing. So they're going to be banking on RNG to try and prompt this counterattack twice. So we're going to get the magenta shield, prompt the counter, and once you drop his shield to red, he might goof around a little bit, but Ravenbeak should start to throw his invincibility shield like that, and should be able to finish phase 1 just like that. Looks like Spear Time managed to handle the Wave Emmy without any problems. Nice. phase 2 of Ravenbeak, he's going to start flying around. I think we're going to try to keep him on the left side of the room as much as possible. The less we get him to fly around, the easier it is to manage. The easier it is to spam missile shots at this guy. Ice missiles, especially if you're not using turbo, definitely the best way to go. He's doing this ground pound attack, kind of difficult. Greggy running out of missiles, might have missed a couple shots, didn't have to shoot for too long. Finally, phase 3, it's ground-based showdown time. He's got a handful of different attacks. He's got this power where he throws the sun. You have to blow it up with a power bomb. Just going to be spamming missiles for the most part. You want if you do go for the counter, the earlier the better. Let's see if he goes for this. It looks like he is. That counter was pretty far into the fight, but it shouldn't be too detrimental. Basically, again, your incoming damage during this cinematic is halved. Pretty clean Ravenbeak. Looks like Greggy is on track to get a mid 128 if escape goes well, which usually does. Spear time, duking it out with the second red Chozo warrior. Gonna be spamming storm missiles. Meanwhile, Greggy taking on the monstrosity that is the unholy combination of Ravenbeak, Kraid, and a massive X-Parasite. Gonna be shooting this massive laser into his face. Kaboom. That's the last boss. So, typical of like 90% of Metroid entries, we've got the escape sequence. We gotta get out of here in 3 minutes or less. Samus has gone full sicko mode with the Metroid suit. You get to shoot this massive laser. You touch any enemy, it dies. Unfortunately, you lose your flash. Small price to pay, I guess. Gonna get a nice... Oh, storing the speed boost. Okay. Gonna dump the power bomb here. Spear time, making their way over to Ravenbeak. Greggy opening the Hyper Beam door. Missing the speed boost on the way out. Gonna be attempting to store Shine Spark? No? Okay. We're walking out the normal way. That's fine. No shame in just, you know, going out that. Alright. And that's it. I forgot to mark the timer. 128.33. Pretty good. Sub 130. I think that's spear time, or that's Greggy's best qualifier time, right? So that will count towards their average for their bracket placement. Spear time taking on the Chozo Elite. Curb stomping him into the ground, absorbing his energy. All right. I don't know if we're doing interviews this late. I think both of our runners are based in North America, right? So we'll see if people want to do a little short Q&A sesh after their run, but totally, we'll see. I guess that's up to staff, right? Staff and the runners. I'll keep an eye out, though, see if anybody's joining. Spear time. Coming on up to Iterash, taking the cozy ball chair thing up to Ravenbeak's ship. Really subtle nod to Metroid Prime Pinball.
you could say.
But let's see how Spear Time handles the Ravenbeak fight. Dropping the power bomb in here, blowing up all 4 blocks.
Using the elevator.
All right. Looks like Spear Time is shooting Ravenbeak's shield down to red. So they're going to be doing... so Ravenbeak's shield is going to turn gold here, and the only way to really... You have to just wait for him to prompt the counter, really. He won't be throwing the shield away. Nice counter. Pretty good. Didn't have to wait too long for that shield to pop up. Phase 2.
All right. Ravenbeak is going left and right. He's going all over the place.
Spear Time's got 70 missiles. This guy, not a problem. Spear Time came prepared. All those extra 10 missile packs really paid off. For sure. Got the counter super early, too. Not bad. Gonna be finishing things up with Ravenbeak pretty soon, trying to drop some cross bombs next to him to do some extra damage. Got the 2 mandatory counters to finish things off. And that's Ravenbeak done. Spear Time, I believe on physical, should be on track for a very high 134. Not bad. I believe is high 134, I think might be their best qualifier time, if not their second best. So could be good. We will be adjusting. I think staff is working to adjust physical times, so that could actually be a huge benefit, because that'll bring their average down, and then if you account for the physical to digital difference, could be pretty nice. All right. Hey, we're just watching Spear Time finish up Escape here. GG's. Alrighty. Very nice speed booster through this last room here. Unfortunately, it took an extra space jump. Had to walk the rest of the way out, but that's time. Both of our runners
Doing a pretty good job. I believe they've got I think both runners bringing down their qualifier averages, I think. So we'll see if Spear Time wants to do a brief Q&A. I've got Greggy here. I don't know if you're here.
I am here.
Oh, great.
Hi,
Awesome.
hi.
GG's.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think staff will be working to send an invite over to Spear Time if they're interested. But yeah, so I guess overall, how'd you feel about your run?
Honestly, I'm pretty happy with the time. At least I got to lower my qualifier time. My
Yep.
PB actually right now is 1:27:42, I believe.
That's
And
pretty
my
good, you know.
yeah, it's not bad.
Finishing within a minute off your PB on a no reset, pretty good.
Yeah,
I would
it's
say.
pretty good. Yeah, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Not exactly the time I'm looking for, to be honest, because right now I have a all bosses glitchless of 1:27 and some change. So,
all bosses
and the
does.
route is pretty similar, so I'm trying
Yeah,
to beat that
all
time. You know what I
bosses. I
mean?
don't know how many bosses on the screen. Let me see. 29 bosses. There's like one boss that doesn't get covered in this category.
Exactly.
Just like the one Chozo warrior.
Exactly.
Hey, Spear Time. GG's.
Thank you.
So, how was it? What did you think of your run?
It was all right. I mean,
All right.
yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, the lead did kind of change hands a little bit. It was between ADM was a pretty big game changer.
Yeah,
really helped you
definitely.
maintain a lead, being on physical especially. But then it was just kind of like between loading zones. Blue Emmy, I remember one of you jumped like within like a millimeter of like the yellow Emmy. Both
Yes,
of you
I
got
did.
bad RNG on yellow Emmy, and one of you like jumped right around. I'm like, oh, why? Oh no! And then I think you got on GEI on your successful GI attempt. You were like had to jump right around the blue Emmy. It was really scary, very
Yeah, the
nail
GI
biting.
was pretty bad, but
GI is
at least I got it.
Yeah, especially it's very, very good to get it for sure.
Yeah, because my first qualifier, I spent 6 minutes doing GI. So
yeah, I still have to. I never got a good qualifier with a good GI, so I'm hoping I get it by the time one of my tournament matches comes around.
Mhm.
Both of you opted to do Frozen Artaria. Greggy, I'll call you out. I'm not really calling you out, honestly. Mad respect. You've sold me on the value of spin boost. Very. I don't know if that's something that's like you kind of learned that and then kind of stuck with it, or
Yep.
spin boost has its merits for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do with that.
Did you like my speed keep going to spin boost?
Oh yeah, I did see that. That was pretty good. Yeah, any percent glitchless really is like a really great great category for showing off speed booster tech.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure. Is there anything else really? Let me think. Not really. Crade was both of you. Yeah, Crade. Vomit at the beginning. Experiment was pretty good
double
actually.
vomit.
And the cutscene. Yeah.
But yeah. Golzuna, I saw Greggy, your Golzuna was a really interesting setup. That's new. I never seen that kind of setup for Golzuna.
Yeah, the spike ball is so easy to do for me, so I just go for it. Like I know the infinite, like the S motion, like you just go around the room and
the crazy
get your
eights,
spark. But I'd rather go for my ball, always safe and easy to recover.
Am I cover? What other things?
Yeah, I didn't one cycle Drog. And
yeah, both of you I think missed Drog actually.
No, I didn't miss Drog. I got the one cycle.
Oh,
yeah,
you
he
did.
got
Okay.
it.
I just go for the longer setup. Oh, by the way, shout out to Spare Time, man. I cannot believe you're running this on the physical, which is a little bit of a disadvantage. Let's just say that. But
Yeah,
very
it's
impressive stuff,
whatever.
man.
No,
Really,
yeah,
really
I
impressive
think
stuff.
so. I don't know if I think I did peek the spreadsheet. They did include a column to make adjustments to physical versus digital for seating at the very least. I think they'll
So
probably
what
end up.
time does he get for that?
That's a
in
good
terms of the
question.
time?
I honestly don't know what the time difference is for
I
any
think it's
percent
about a
glitchless.
3 minute.
NMG is any NMG is 3.5 is what I'm hearing float
Yeah.
around a little bit.
So
Hundo is
basically,
more
got
in
a
the realm of like 5.
31-ish.
Yeah, I'd say you probably have like somewhere in the low 130s range with
So that's pretty good.
with this. I'd say
Yeah.
it's pretty good. And especially with like with all the shortcomings, that's pretty good. Like you definitely you know it's a lot of potential.
Thank
Nothing
you.
a little bit of practice can't fix, right?
True.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll try to wrap things up. I know it's probably late for you both as it is for me. So I guess if there's any closing remarks from either of you before I wrap things up, I guess.
Well, I'm just gonna say thank you so much, Spirit Time, for competing against me on that qualifier. It was really fun to have someone to race with and do a run. And thank you so much for Speed Gaming and for your commentary, bro. It was spot on, pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I was watching the restream, so really enjoyed that.
I love
And
commentating. I hope I can commentate with
it was on point, man. It was
with a
pretty good.
co-commentator next time. But
Yeah,
it's really hard splitting my
the comps were
attention
good.
between two runners.
No,
Pretty
yeah,
happy
it
to
was
have a
good.
commentator.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Spear Time, do you have anything?
Yeah, not really. Just it was pretty good race, I feel like. So look forward to
right.
the tournament now. So
yeah. So this was the last qualifier. So staff's going to be doing some number crunching behind the curtain to determine the brackets. So keep an eye out, I guess, for when that happens. I believe the challenge website said like something like August 5th, but bracket should be up soon. TM. Best of luck to both our runners, especially if I end up coming up against one of you, perhaps.
Oh no! What is your time? So I get prepared.
I ended up with a 1:31:29 physical. So
oh boy.
we will. I'll and both of those had bad GEI, so I have practice to do.
Yeah.
I'll see how I do against. I think I'll have a lot of superiors above me in this bracket, but we'll see.
Hopefully, I don't die too much.
Yeah, that's always something to get worried about for sure. The Emmys are ruthless.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're watching from home, and we'll see you soon with the Any Percent Glitchless tournament. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Next mission, guys.